Welcome to the England Rugby Pod. Thanks for downloading episode 54. It's the big one. England against Australia at Twickenham, vying for their fifth win in a row. You're listening to the England Rugby Pod, the rugby podcast that believes England will win the World Cup in 2019. Hi guys, welcome. Big game day today. England against Australia, always a big one. I'm joined, of course, by Dan. Hi, mate.
Hi, mate. I have the absolute hangover from hell. I was at Kingsholm last night watching Gloucester beat Saracens, actually, and it got a bit loose on the beers. But just knowing this is coming up, the big one, has just made me feel immeasurably better.
Nice.
This is it.
So possibly not cracking a beer, but
I'm definitely not cracking a beer.
Fair enough. Bit soft, but
yeah, mate. If you saw me today, you'd kick me for being so pathetic. But the boys won't be pathetic. This is it. I just love beating the Aussies. It just makes me one of the few things in life that just makes me genuinely 100% happy.
What about the Welsh?
Yeah. I love beating the Welsh too. I think I prefer to beat the Aussies.
I think the way to gauge it really is, you know, if anyone else plays Australia, you want anyone else to win, and the same applies to Wales. But when Australia and Wales play each other, you want Wales to win.
That's a good shout. That is a good shout.
And I guess that sort of sums it up, even though it didn't happen last weekend, and we're not too bothered about it. I think that probably sums up the order. But we're not here to talk about Wales. We don't really want to talk about Australia. It is, of course, England against Australia. It is the big rivalry, as you say, and England with a lot to prove.
England do have a lot to prove. It was a sort of fairly slow out of the tracks last week, but this is a new week. We have got our absolute genius Faz back in the team, so it's it's a big one. This is it. This is what the autumn sort of internationals for England. This is the key match. This is a good indication of where we are.
Absolutely, and I think the fact that after this, the next big game isn't until sort of February next year. It's key that this one they get a result. Almost more than the performance. You know, yes, we'd love to see a big England performance, but I think get the W. That's the most important thing first and foremost, and then obviously if we can couple that up with a great performance, brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, look, we're not. There's not a huge amount to discuss. We actually covered most of this, of course, on Thursday in our build-up episode. Not a lot has happened, as far as I'm aware, since. So really, this is about just saying hi to everybody. Thanks for joining us again, and we will come back to you at halftime to give you our halftime analysis while the boys are in the changing rooms, and then we'll be back at the end to discuss the final result after the final whistle. So I think on that note, we will probably leave you guys to it. Crack a beer, get a good seat, turn up the volume, and when Will Greenwood is done talking about Joe Launchbury's giant hammer and huge nails, we can find out how England get on against Australia. Hi guys, welcome back. First half out of the way. It's frustrating. It is frustrating. It's been a great Test match so far, but there've been some fairly dodgy calls from the ref. There've been some
which ones?
Well, for starters, the Johnny May penalty that they gave away a penalty. Johnny May jumped for the ball, was given as a knock on, I think. But he was actually taken in the air. So by the letter of the law, it's a penalty. As it turns out, Australia got the scrum. You've then got the commentary, and this is not a referee decision, he got this one right, but the try that was disallowed for Australia, And then the commentary, they're banging on about this incredible run of play from the Australians. And I don't know. I don't know if I was watching a different game, but from what I saw, the Aussies tried to kick the ball through. He caught the side of his foot. It went off at a random angle, and his captain happened to be there to dive on it. In any other game, he completely cocked up the chance to score a try there. So, and in fact, he did, because his captain was offside, and all he needed to do was nudge it forward and jump on it himself. So, I don't know. Just there's frustrations.
Stuart Barnes doesn't allow for a rugby ball being a rugby ball sometimes. Don't get me wrong, I actually really like Stuart Barnes, but a ball bounces in a certain way, he'll always be like, "That was genius." Like, no, it wasn't.
Well, it genius?
It was an egg bouncing in a certain way. Right. This is something that's really, really bugs me. So Australia had tried disallowed, missed a kick. Then we get a chance for a penalty and we kick for the corner. It was, for me, that was time to take the penalty. As it turned out, it worked pretty well for us because we ended up getting a penalty in front of the post, and Hooper ended up getting sin bin.
Why did we then take the 3 points? If you're gonna take your shot, like surely a scrum under the posts.
Well, I don't think
is the time to say, do you know what? They've got a man off the pitch. It's one of their strongest defenders. Strongest players. Full stop. If you're going to do it, is that not the time to do it?
I don't think look a gift horse in the mouth. Like, I'm a big Clive Woodward fan when it was like, build a score. Like, if we get the chance for points, let's take them, because this test match, the conditions are not going to allow it to be a huge scoring one. So I think we need to take every point we can get. And it's, it's fine. Look, it's overall, actually, I'm pretty happy. Joe Launchbury, he's such a good athlete, but he just doesn't look as if he knows what his body's doing. He looks surprised by every movement he makes. When his arms move, he's like, "What was that?"
It's almost like he's gangly, except that he's not. He's a tree trunk. So it's like his head thinks he's skinny, but actually he's a tree trunk, and therefore he does kind of look a little bit like a deer standing on ice or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's effective. Bloody hell, it's effective.
No, he's looking strong. Itoje, obviously, coming on earlier than expected, and probably not the replacement that ordinarily you'd expect for Sam Underhill, who obviously isn't back on. I don't know if Sam Underhill... watching the replay, it looked more like he'd injured his shoulder than taken a knock to the head, Sam Underhill. But he's obviously not come back on. Not really overly fussed, get under the circumstances, because I think Mara's looking pretty good out there in the line-outs. He's looking really strong. Obviously, we just missed that. We didn't quite get that last one, but a couple of steals and looking strong on our own line out, which is always good.
He just lives for team, doesn't he? Just his whole body language, everything. Let's take away how brilliant a player he is. Just even his sort of celebrating every turnover and things. It just lifts. Like, I'm watching it thinking, yeah, come on, this is cool. Come on, boys. Like, he's got a really good. In my opinion, he's got really good presence and sort of attitude about him that just helps lift and drive us forward. And actually, I think that's probably something that not to say we needed it is unfair, because heads certainly weren't down, but it's only going to help. It's only going to be
definitely. I mean, okay, so another one, Nathan Hughes. I've probably not given him enough credit over the last few episodes when talking about comparing him to Billy Vunipola in terms of his go forward. Yes, there have been a couple today that sort of stack up with what I've been saying, where he just doesn't seem to have the impact where he looks like he should. But there have also been a couple where he really has put on the gas and just powered through the tackles. So he's doing quite well. I was a bit annoyed with that early one when he got the ball knocked out of his hand in the tackle, but when you watch the replay, actually he's got to put the ball in one arm in order to go in with the other shoulder, and he didn't see Hooper coming in from the other side, and that's what Hooper does, isn't it? So it was a bit unfortunate.
He's a very good player. He's a very, very good player. He's just unfortunately against the best in the world.
Yeah, but he's doing a really good job of filling those boots, filling that shirt, and I think he just needs to keep in mind that nothing is final, and as long as he continues to get better and better and better, by the time Billy's ready to come back, he can put up a fight. And whilst we don't think that he'll win it, it's important, I think, that all the positions have someone else waiting in the wings, just to get the best out of the players.
When Billy's back, Can Nathan Hughes play six? I don't know. I'm genuinely asking.
I don't know you want him to.
Does he have the transferable skills to fill
Well,
in a six? Could you imagine Billy and Nathan? They would go forward with those two.
yeah, but do you need them both? Do you need two people doing that? We've seen,
Possibly not. No,
when
no,
Billy's in form and fit, obviously, he does it all day long. So do you need someone else to be doing it with him, or can you rely on him to do what he does and then have a couple of guys outside him, like your Sam Underhills, who can just blitz defence and steal the ball and cover that element of the game?
Yeah, no. I get it, and hey, look, we're veering off track because I think the point is Nathan Hughes is a great player, and he's done well, and he's doing a sort of fine job in Billy's absence. And you're right, nothing is guaranteed. Who's to say Billy comes back? It may take him a while to, he may suddenly have a bad run of form or whatever.
Yeah.
So. He's good to have.
Okay, a couple of things then before we head back for the second half. Johnny May, I think he's looking like he's having a reasonably good game. I mean, he's had a couple of unfortunate sort of situations like the kick chase where he found himself in an offside position, but that's just one of those. When you get isolated, one of you, either the guy on the floor trying to get the ball or the one making the tackle, is likely to find themselves isolated. And unfortunately, when you have someone with that pace, he doesn't run with support. And that's what you want him. You want him chasing that ball down. Unfortunate.
Yeah. It is unfortunate. He's got a set of wheels on him, doesn't he?
But performance-wise, for the first half, how are you feeling about Johnny May's performance and his
I'm fairly positive.
Transition from the Premiership?
No, I'm fairly positive about it. It's the conditions that they must be kicking themselves because it's not going to allow us to see them at their best. Yeah, I think Johnny's doing as well as anyone else would be doing in that position. I don't think we're missing. I don't think he's taken somebody's place who we're missing as a result.
No.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, kind of. I'm sure it does. I'm going to move on. We've got one last thing because we need to get back for the second half. Michael Checker. Does he have a right to be annoyed the way, like in quite the fashion that he is?
He's just an Aussie knob, but just like so. Reminds me of my ex. No, it's just.
Is there any question about that yellow card at the end there?
No, he was never going to catch it. No, he's yeah. I think he's a good coach. I'm not a fan though. I must admit.
No, well, fair enough. Well, let's see. Hopefully, we can just give him more things to moan about in the second half, and he'll be incredibly disgruntled at the end of the game when England run out the winners. But we will see because there's still a lot of rugby to play. The scoreline is pretty narrow at 6-0. So yeah, long way to go. A lot of rugby still to play. Lot still to do from both sides. But of course, we're back in the England boys. So come on, boys. Let's have a strong second half. Wow, what a second half. It's probably the best way to describe it. Yeah. Probably a flattering result. I mean, if you look at the game as 80 minutes, but I don't think there was when the floodgates opened at the end there, it was quality.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like they got lucky and that's why it's a flattering result. It's a flattering result because they did a lot of that because Australia genuinely went to sleep and England showed quality in the last sort of 10, 15 minutes. And fired over three tries. And I really like the fact that Owen Farrell intentionally missed those last two kicks because obviously having equaled...
Out of respect for Sir Johnny.
Having equalled Sir Johnny's record against Australia, he just thought, do you know what? Today is not the day to outshine him. That time will come.
He's humble, our Faz.
Yeah, so I think kudos to Owen for that one as well. Yeah,
definitely. It was... Do you know what? I struggle to figure out this England team. So this sounds like I'm being a bit negative, and I'm not, because what a result. Like, great result from the guys.
Record win against Australia.
Yeah, and they deserved it. But there's times when sort of mentally I just think, I just like, they don't seem to have a plan B. But then they show the mental toughness to play the game for 80 minutes. Um, and they really do play it. And Jesus, Danny Care's got a bit of footwork about him, doesn't he? He should be playing for Chelsea, mate. Like
So
his little dinks through are just absolutely tearing. He's been doing it for Quins and
yeah, yeah.
now for England.
See, I think one of my problems with England at the moment is that Ben Young's kicking is not competitive. He did it again today. All that first half, that first 60 minutes. Every time he box kicked, there were one or two when he's going for touch. He put it in touch, and there were a couple actually today that were good into space. But how often did he just boot the ball straight down the throat of one of the Australian players, a mile away from any English support, any English cover, and simply give them plenty of time to catch it, have a look around, and decide how to counter-attack? Danny Care comes on, and like his first two touches of the ball are to go dink through some space, both resulting in tries. And then of course he's got the sort of he's only just been on the pitch for a few minutes. He's still got plenty of energy, and he's there. He's a quick guy anyway, and he's there to score the third.
Just to rub it in,
yeah. Just be like, look, guys, I've set two up. I think it's probably high time I got one myself. So give me the ball.
You guys are easy to play against. Yeah,
and I'll put one over. Boring. Yeah, it's only Australia. How come you guys struggled so much in the first 60 minutes? I think he's sent a definite message to Eddie Jones to say, look, seriously think about it. But I don't think Ben Youngs could do that.
No, I don't think so.
So I think in some ways he perhaps has cemented himself as a quality finisher.
Yeah, and he really is a quality finisher, isn't he? I was really happy at the end. And the quality of finishing was brilliant.
Yeah.
From England. The Aussies, I thought, were a little unlucky, actually, not to have that try. To me, it probably was a try, but actually, no, I'm completely changing that. If it was anyone else, I'd say that's a try. But they just moan so much. I don't know if it's got an apocalyptic hangover that I'm annoyed by it.
I disagree. I think I think the referee's decision was correct. And I know it sounds like I'm being biased, but I think if you're going to go upstairs, and rightly so, but if you're going to go upstairs, you have to look at Owen Farrell's specifically gone up to the referee and said, look, we think he was blocking. Have a look at that. He's looked at it, and quite clearly, the guy's in front of the player with the ball. The amount that he blocks is kind of irrelevant because under the circumstances, he only gets one arm around him, and therefore he's unable to hold the try up. So,
well, that's what I wonder because I don't know the definite law here.
Well, there was an Australian player between the defender and the ball carrier.
So I thought, and I could be wrong, mate. You may be right; it may be completely irrelevant, but I thought it was only if the person stops them from making a tackle they otherwise would have made.
Well, so what the referee said was it stopped him making a two-handed tackle.
Okay,
and that could make a difference.
And
therefore, he wasn't able to potentially wrap the player up, wrap the ball up, and prevent the try. So for that reason, I don't really understand why the ref went to the grounding first. Like, that seems weird to me. Rule out any foul play and then decide if it was a try or not. Why waste everybody's time by spending hours deciding if it was a try and then go, oh, now we've decided that it was. Let's go back and have a look. Oh, doesn't matter. Seems a bit strange.
The TMO was a bit risk adverse, wasn't he? He did like to double check everything. But,
yeah, what about the other try? Elliot Daly's try, in your opinion?
I thought that was a try.
I do too. I think it was very tight, but I don't... It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because obviously, if you're Australian, it touched the line. But I think you look at who was the Australian chasing it?
Beale, wasn't it?
Beale, yeah, you're right. Yes. So you look at Curtly Beale's reaction, and although he's slowing down because he expects the ball to go out, at no point does he sort of react as if to go, "Hang on, what are you doing? Why are you carrying on? That's out." He knows. He's looking at it, and he's suddenly you see the moment when he realizes
he knows he's screwed up.
Shit, that ball's not going out, and Daly goes through. Daly to me looked a little bit tubby, and a little bit tired running onto that. I know it's been a long game. Watch the game back. Reminded me of a few of the guys that I've played with. There's a guy Dan Wood. I played with him once.
Oh, mate, that guy was absolutely ripped. I think
I think
it's like
he ripped
daily.
his
He's probably
jeans
ripped.
regularly, but ripped, I don't know. But mate, I thought it was a great performance. Some great tries at the end there. They took their time. I mean, let's not forget the conditions were dreadful for running
Yeah,
rugby. So to score tries like that in those conditions, I think fair play. Yes, there was some luck. That ball, it should have gone out. Everything
it
about
really
it.
should have, shouldn't it? Yeah.
Physics should suggest that
Physics
ball
dictates
should
that
go
goes out. Yeah.
and it didn't. But that it just goes to show, you don't give up until the last minute. If Daly could so easily have just gone, oh, it's gone out, and given up, a bit like Curtly Beale did, and then Curtly Beale would have gone, oh, it's not gone out, picked it up and counter-attacked. So, you've got to keep the pressure on, and good things can happen. Johnny May, hunting all day long, and it started to come good for him. I thought he had a great game.
Earned his place. He's earned his place.
I thought he had a great game. Joe Launchbury, deserved man of the match. He was big. I decided in the second half after what you said. The problem is he thinks he's a skinny man, and he's obviously a tree trunk, and he's just trying to work out, how to cope with that, how to come to terms with that. But he's aggressive runner, strong, look good.
He's so confused by his own movements, yet they just work so well. Like sometimes there's an arm move, and you see him look about like, "Hey guys, did anyone see that? I think that was my arm." But it just works so well. Like everything he does. I don't know why I'm having a go at him. I think he's an absolute brilliant player, which is why Sale tried to pay 500 grand for him.
Yeah. Okay, quick question for you then. I don't know if you recall this particular moment. Maritoje was pinged for a deliberate knock-on. I think it was after a line out, and in my eyes, he appeared to come through the middle of the maul. And as the scrum half, as Genya was looking to pass the ball out, he kind of stretched out and ripped the ball out of his hand. Now, the ball didn't go forward. It went backwards towards the England side. So first of all, if it was deliberate, it was a deliberate knock back, if anything. But what's wrong with that? Why can he not do that? Or am I,
Okay, I'm going to
asking
have
the
to
wrong
stop you.
person?
I can't remember that incident, mate. I'm not sure if it's because I
That's
went to get a drink or something.
You just don't know the answer, do you?
I'll have to when I watch the highlights later. I'll have a look.
I thought that was unfortunate. Small thing. Just it was one of those that stuck with me.
From how you described it, I don't understand what's gone wrong.
Yeah. Well, have a look when you check the highlights out. Maybe we can talk about it next week. If it still seems interesting, it probably won't. Hooper. We know he's a bit of a stroppy player. Obviously, no one wants to be on that Australian losing side. It's going to be frustrating. As he said in his post-match interview, when you're on the pitch, you always think the ball has gone your way. But for me, rugby is all about. I like the fact that rugby is the complete opposite of football. In that, when the referee makes a decision, as much as you may hate it, you just accept it and you move on. For me, there's far too much chat from him. I mean, going up to the referee when
I agree.
Things
he
like
moans too much.
Well, things like when that try wasn't given, the first Australian try that wasn't given, I think it was, and he walked up to the referee and said, mate, that's bullshit. You know that's a bad decision. Well, the referee's the one that makes the decision, isn't it? TMO gives the referee advice. Referee makes the call. You kind of know if it's Nigel Owens. For me, the ref just didn't seem to own many of his decisions today. He seemed to hide behind the TMO a lot, and he almost looked apologetic when the decision came down from upstairs. Like, sorry guys, TMO said this.
The first try, I'm trying to remember when
first try was when Hooper was offside in the first half.
Yeah. Well, he's an idiot because it was 100% offside.
Yeah, and the replay shows it quite clearly. It's the fact that he knows he's offside anyway. He looks to the touch judge and puts his hands up as if to go, "Hey, I know I'm offside," but then carries on running. And what they're saying, obviously, is that at that point, if he'd stopped, played himself back onside, and then gone again, that would have been fine. But he didn't. He just went, "Hey, I know I'm offside. Carry on," which of course doesn't change the fact that you're offside. It simply says you've drawn attention to it.
Hey, I done wrong, but I'm just going to continue doing it. Yeah,
exactly. So
cool.
that was a no-brainer. It may have been the other try. It may have been the one under the post where the ref went up to him and said, "Right, this is the reason why we're not awarding the try. It's the blocking." And he said, "That's a bullshit decision. That's a bad decision," or something like that to the referee. And I just think Nigel Owens would have said, "I'm the referee. I make the decisions. You don't come to me and tell me that my decisions are wrong. You accept them and you play the game. And I don't know, the referee today he just seemed a bit soft, and like a lot of these decisions, particularly the ones that came down from upstairs, he almost had that look of sorry guys, but it's what they've said.
It's
I think you just need to own it.
It's a bit. I agree with that. It's a bit of an Aussie trait, like just bemoaning, and I don't like it. I admit I don't like. I think I've got to say I think Hooper is an absolutely awesome player. I think he's absolutely brilliant. But yeah, I don't like bemoaning and everything. It's exhausting to watch, And you know what? It's not nice to watch either. It does take away something from a game and something about the spirit of the game.
I think when you win like that, particularly a convincing win at the end, it's almost satisfying to know that they spent the game bitching and moaning. But I agree with you, though. It's not what the game's about. To his credit, after I was kind of waiting, I was watching all the post-match interviews, thinking, yeah, he's going to get all bitchy on. And to his credit, he did what I think actually Australians typically do. Very humble, kind of just said, look, it didn't always go our way. England thoroughly deserved their win. It's tough conditions. It's a tough day. And, we just didn't bring what we needed on the day, and all credit to England. Congratulations. And that's what you want to hear from any losing side.
Yeah, but I'm going to disagree slightly. So I agree with you. The Australians generally, as people, like I typically really like the Aussies. They are humble. They are good. But it's basically the same. It's exactly the same scenario as his try. He's like, yeah, okay, the decisions didn't go away. And he's almost accepting it. It's like, well, stop bitching then. Stop doing it. Because next match, you're going to bitch your match again. Yeah. It's like when you're offside. You don't stop to get back onside. You acknowledge you're offside and just carry on being offside. Like, if you know you're doing wrong, stop doing it.
Yeah, but that's just he's that player, isn't he? He wants to.
But he's a hell of a player.
He wants to play right on the line, and that's all well and good doing it, and that's how you successfully become one of the best players in the world. It's what Richie McCaw did for years. You play on the line, and unfortunately, to do that, you have to occasionally step over it, and sometimes you get away with that, and sometimes you don't. So he is going to always play about. And when he does something and he knows he's done it wrong, he's not constantly going to put his hand up and say, yeah, no, I know. He's going to try and influence referees, and not necessarily in that game, but I think just generally, if you're going to be around for a long time, you want referees, because you see it, don't you? You see certain players have the respect of referees kind of globally. And if you build a reputation in a referee's mind that you play on the line, but you're a fair player, they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. So maybe a lot of it is to try and kind of make them feel sorry for him, so that next time they give him the benefit of the doubt.
I think decisions go against the Aussies because, like you say, Richie McCaw and the Kiwis do it. The Kiwis will question hard, but they won't moan. And they won't be like, oh, that's bullshit. So I think one of the things with the Aussies is because they do moan, they almost sulk a bit.
Yeah.
But actually, I think sometimes decisions go against them because, quite frankly, people are like, oh, screw you.
No. Something I'd like to see from England. This is a small point. Something I could have brought up in the first half, actually. Something we did under Clive Woodward 2003, and we've talked about this before. I think is when the whistle goes at half time. I want to see the England players run off the pitch.
Run off, yeah.
There's something about seeing them kind of walk in slowly, particularly when the Australians are all running off and kind of running past them. I don't know. I know it's a weird small thing, but I just think show the opposition that you've got all the energy in the world. Running off the pitch is no big deal. It's only an extra 30 seconds, and then you can have a sit down and have a drink.
Yeah, it's interesting, and actually, and nothing to do with not being able to run off the pitch here, but so and by all accounts, from sort of every report we've heard, they got absolutely beasted in camp for the 2 weeks before. Sometimes I'm thinking, are they a bit tired?
Maybe.
Like, were they maybe over beasted? I don't know. It's just that had occurred to me. It did occur to me that sometimes they do look as if they've been through a lot. Even Johnny May, when you saw like the interview before, he clearly had like, I think it was a stud or something sort of down in there. Like you can tell they've been going through some pretty intense training, and I get it, and it's a long-term goal.
Well, this is exactly it. And Eddie was saying in an interview before the game, take Argentina for example. He was asked, how disappointed were you, and all these sorts of questions, and he said, look, we weren't disappointed at all. We were very happy with the result. We got the win. He said the difficulty is that we weren't prepared. We didn't prepare to play Argentina last week. We prepared for the World Cup, and yes, obviously we're playing Argentina in the World Cup. But I think what he meant by that was, we didn't look at it and go, right, what does this Argentina team look like right now at Twickenham in November?
Yeah.
They looked at how do we want to play against an Argentina side in 2019 in Japan, and work a game plan based on that, which is obviously quite difficult to do because it might work, but it also might not, because it might not be suitable for the game in question. And I get that. I quite like it. I quite like that that he's genuinely building. Obviously, you've got to get the wins. And I guess that's one of the reasons. And if it's not, it's just a very good media excuse. But it's one of the reasons why I lost my train of thought.
Well, I'll kind of pick up. I mean, he's said it before. One of the hardest parts he finds about the job is that balance between preparing for the World Cup and preparing for the next game, because ultimately there's the long-term goal. So yes, for example, you want to beat them, make sure they're constantly sort of fitness, physicality, whatever. But then you still got to bear in mind, actually, they're still going to play a game on Saturday. So he has said before that finding that balance is quite tough. But hey, look, we are picking up minor points here because overall, that was a great win. We destroyed the Aussies. I'm a happy man.
I am a happy man as well. For Shawsies. Quickly though, JJ, was he until that try? I felt that he was quiet again.
I know, but he does that.
Do we think that is that? I mean, is that try enough?
I think so.
Do you think, and rightly so, or you think that's just it's enough that we will see him again against Samoa?
Well, actually, that's interesting because maybe we won't against Samoa. Maybe it will be more of a more of a test team. And test, I don't mean test as in rugby test. I mean test as in test out the players team. So we may not see him against Samoa. If next week was against the All Blacks, I think we would have seen him.
You think we would against the All Blacks?
I think we would, yeah. I think he'd be starting if we were playing the All Blacks.
Tried and tested and can score tries like that.
Yeah. And he I mean, that was a hell of a finish. And that's the thing, like just having that guy who can just out of nowhere be sort of so dangerous. And he's not given. So here's the thing. Here's the reason I think that he probably starts above Slade is he's quicker.
Yes.
Like Slade doesn't. No one else has the gas he has, or in the midfield, no one else has the gas.
True, but I guess the thing is, if you're playing a back three like May, Watson, Daly, do you necessarily need ultra fast pace in the midfield as well? I mean, it's obviously it's nice to have, but I'm not sure that that's one of his biggest strengths in the England side, given what is available all around him.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I mean, it's not as if we're short on gas, but I think the part of that is he has that gas just to be able to. Would Slade have finished that try? I don't know. Maybe he would have.
Maybe. But I'd like to see Slade start at 13 before this series is over. So I'm hoping that next week that's what we'll see against Samoa, because I think that'll be good. For me, the final one is Chris Robshaw. Sam Simmons obviously came on for Nathan Hughes, which fine, he plays number 8 regularly, but I think Sam Simmons is there as kind of cover for the back three, really, isn't he? Obviously, the back three in the scrum.
Yeah.
The referee had just finished telling Owen Farrell that Chris Robshaw, the England number 6, was now being kind of monitored. It was like he was on a final warning. He'd just given away a penalty for the late tackle.
It surprised me.
He'd just done a penalty down here, given away a penalty down here, and now he was being monitored. And then the change gets made, and it's not Chris Robshaw, it's Nathan Hughes off Sam Underhill. And I thought Nathan Hughes was doing a pretty good job and looking pretty aggressive. So,
it surprised me, the change.
I thought that Robshaw would have been the more sensible option, more sensible change there.
Yeah, I agree. I'm still at the point where I almost don't question Eddie, but I am.
That's what we're here to do. I mean, let's not forget, most of Eddie Jones's decisions come off the back of listening to this rugby podcast.
I think 95% of them do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
for
and the
sure.
5% that don't, it's usually because someone in his PR team has said, "Come on, you've got to do a few of your own decisions." So sometimes he does the
Yeah, be
exact
your own
opposite.
man, Eddie.
Yeah,
It's a
so
bit
occasionally
boring.
he will do the exact opposite of what we say, but that's intentional.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Throw people off the scent. But God, we're dicks.
yeah, we
Um,
are.
but it's what the hell are we even talking about? Yeah, Rob Shaw. Rob Shaw's not. Is he? Is he as effective as? So, so here's my
He's a
thing. If
difficult one to watch because he does a
it,
lot. A lot of his hard work is unseen.
yeah, a lot of his hard work is unseen, and he's a great player. But if Underhill's fit, Nathan Hughes is fit. Looking at someone like Simmons or even Courtney Laws at 6, it's
I mean,
there's
could we be
there's
seeing that?
rightly that it can be questioned whether he's the right man for it.
Well, I mean, do we think that Courtney Laws is, the way that it kind of worked out today? It feels like we need three of them on the pitch and the other one on the bench. The
They're
awesome
just,
foursome.
they're just so good, aren't they?
So maybe Laws will be looked at as a permanent back row. He said himself he prefers to play back row,
Yeah, because he gets to smash people and he loves it.
but that's what we like him doing as well.
Yeah, damn right we do.
So if we've got Joe Launchbury bulldozing through people, we've got obviously Marrow doing what Marrow does, and you've got Courtney smashing people from the back. Maybe that's a good shout. Sam
Yeah,
Underhill, Nathan Hughes, Billy Vunipola when he's back. Be interesting to see how that develops.
yeah, it will be. It will be. I'm quite. I'm quite enjoying it. There's a lot of sort of subplots going on in the England team at the
Yeah.
moment,
No Rocker
which are going to
Daguni.
be.
No Rocker Daguni coming on. He was the only finisher that didn't finish.
I think that's probably a good call, bearing in
Oh
mind
no,
what
I
happened at the
I,
end.
I agree. I agree. I think it says a lot about
Even with
performances.
Elliot Fatty Daly, nearly
Mate, that
getting.
is well out of order. Uh, yeah, but no, I think I kind of think that's an interesting thing in a good way because I think that says a lot about the performance put in by our back three. And when you've got Watson theoretically playing out of position at fullback, and you've got Johnny May obviously just back. I think that's good. We've wanted to see this for a long time. It makes me feel like we're getting a much more kind of they're putting down a bit of a marker. And I thought Anthony Watson was great at fullback. Couple of mistakes, but bad conditions is going to happen.
Oh Jesus Christ!
And
Yeah, it
under
was
under
tough.
the
It was,
circumstances, I thought he did phenomenally well under the high ball. Couple of
yeah,
brilliant takes given the conditions. So yeah, really, really kind of stepping up. I was really impressed. It's always stressful when you get to half time and it's only 6-0. And obviously, when Australia put in that 20 minutes in the beginning of the second half, it was stressful because you're thinking, "Come on, when's it going to happen?" But yeah,
well,
just
it did happen.
it happens.
This week, the proof was in the pudding.
It was in the pudding. You are quite right, and it will continue to be so. I did have something else. Can't remember what it was. Sure, it was very important and very exciting.
We can follow
I tell
it
you
up.
what it was. I tell you what it was. Okay, so my prediction wasn't quite accurate, but
No idea.
so my prediction, I think points difference was very close. We'll have to listen back to the last episode to remind ourselves what I said. I said something like 46-12 or something. 46-20 or 46-21 or something. But the point, and you obviously accused me of being ridiculous.
I accuse you of being high.
Well, yeah.
I'm going to listen back because I want to check that.
I think you should.
Because I think you're saying that based upon there's no way that guy's such a lazy prick. There's no way he's going to listen back and call me on it. But this time I am going to listen back.
I'm still fairly convinced
come
that's
the pod
the
on
case.
no, and you're probably right. On the pod on Tuesday, I'm going to. Well, if you're right, I just won't mention it. If you're wrong, I will out you.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to that. Guys, really appreciate you joining us. It's been another great day of rugger. Quite glad we're doing these kind of episodes in this fashion again. I quite enjoy doing the pre, during, and post game episodes. They're a bit more interesting, and hopefully as well they're interesting when you listen back because you get to hear a very different reaction after the first half to what you'll hear after the second half. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes not so much. Hopefully with England it continues to be a good thing. But yeah, I think that probably covers it, doesn't it?
Excellent. Yeah, no, I think so.
So, guys, all the usuals. If you get a chance, rate us, review us on iTunes. Get in touch at England Rugby Pod on Twitter. We're on Facebook. You can check out the website, www.englandrugbypod.com, or you can even email us. Crazy thought. englandrugbypod@gmail.com. But yeah, thanks for listening. Tune in again on Tuesday for our regular episodes, and obviously next week for the Samoa game. And we will... Hopefully you'll hear from us then.
Guys, thanks very much.